Welcome, Guruji. There are many people on this channel who differentiate based on religion.
Regarding depression and anxiety, what has been said in our scriptures? And how can you control things? First of all, suicide is considered completely wrong, because in our scriptures, it is said that those who commit suicide do not attain peace. This life is so beautiful, and to waste it by committing suicide is a great loss.
When we talk about the knowledge of the Gita teaches you everything.
Look at the knowledge of the Gita. Arjuna was not ordinary at all, and Lord Krishna himself narrated it.
Nowadays, things are generalized by saying men don't cry. If a man is not connected, he will be afraid of everything. Otherwise, he won't even fear for the honor of his parents. What is the significance of Kumbh and its importance? Look, if you want to educate people here, those who live in depression and anxiety. From my perspective, it's just this. Hello friends. I am Sushil Sharma, and I welcome you in our new podcast. We have talked about spirituality once before, but meditation is a significant thing. It's such a big topic that it can't be covered in a single short podcast, so how spirituality can help us in dealing with depression, anxiety, and preventing suicides, because nowadays if we look at it, recently we have been receiving a lot of news. There can be different topics, and people can have different views. But what is the common issue? People are troubled. Whether it's the case of Atul Subhash or the case of Punitji. But the suicides that are happening have increased in number. They are different, but they are happening. How can spirituality help us in this? How can we control depression and anxiety? To discuss this, we have invited a new guest today. Who is our guest? The Peethadhishwar from Jagat Guru Narhariya Peeth. Currently, this Peeth has more than 100,000 Muslim disciples. So, this is something worth highlighting, because in our country, there are quite a few people who differentiate between these religions and faiths. But when we talk about sanatan, sanatan means acceptance, and when I talk about acceptance, it means imparting our knowledge to disciples without converting them, sharing the knowledge of sanatan, highlighting the virtues of sanatan. Because perhaps no one will tell you that yes, this Hindu teacher has Muslim disciples, or this Muslim teacher has Hindu disciples. At that time, having more than 100,000 Muslim disciples under Guruji, you can imagine, in a place like India, where there is a lot of emphasis. So, welcome Guruji to this channel. My first question is about what are spirituality and scriptures say regarding depression and anxiety, and how can you control it?
Look, indeed, our scriptures have truly addressed every type of issue. And the way situations are developing currently, it's only because when a person's mindset progresses, and when we take actions to advance our things, and when my work doesn't get completed, somewhere we start failing in it. And when we fail, such things come into our lives. There are some household issues, and certainly some external respect and prestige. Such people associate themselves with the idea that their honor is at stake, and somewhere this leads them to commit such acts. But the scriptures have clearly stated that suicide is wrong, because, according to our scriptures, those who commit suicide attain pritiyoni. In our belief, there are 8.4 million life forms, and among those is the pritiyoni. So, those who commit suicide go to the pritiyoni, and when a person goes to the pritiyoni, they do not possess the 5 elements. One of them is air. As mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a story of Gokarna, where he recited the Bhagavath to his brother Dandhakari, who got involved with a courtesan and was killed by being given burning coals. So, he had an untimely death, and after this untimely death, he was granted liberation by listening to the Bhagavath from a spiritual perspective. Similarly, you must have seen when Jarasandha and Shishupala were there, and Lord Krishna eloped with Rukmini. Shishupala was already seated there, with the wedding procession, as Rukmini's brother had arranged for him to marry her, and he had arrived with the procession. But when Lord Krishna eloped with Rukmini, Shishupala felt like committing suicide, thinking, what is the point of living such a life? My honor is gone. My reputation is ruined. I came here with the band and procession to get married. Now if I take them back, what will people say there? They won't let me live. In such a situation, he went to commit murder, thinking it's better to die than to live such a life. At that moment, Jara Sindha came. Jara Sindha said, my brother, what are you doing? Look at me. I attacked Krishna 17 times and sat defeated 17 times. But I didn't give up. I was defeated by Krishna not once, but 17 times. Yet I'm still alive. I didn't commit suicide, even though I should have died. But I didn't accept defeat, and on the 18th time, Krishna ran away. Krishna left Dwarka, and I achieved victory. So, my brother, there's no need to commit suicide. Similarly, in many places, in the scriptures, like the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned. In the Geeta, it is said many times that you should do your duty and not worry about whether you did it or not. Lord Krishna explained to Arjuna thoroughly when he said, these are my grandfathers, this is my teacher, this is my uncle, these are my in-laws. What will we achieve by killing them? The Lord said, these people are already dead. Your duty as a warrior is to fight. You just fight. Don't look at anything else. How many times have they become your uncles and aunts? How many times have you become their uncles and aunts, grandparents? All these things have been part of nature's cycle. You should do your duty. So, the Lord imparted the lesson of duty there. When you start believing that you are the doer and the enjoyer, then things start to enter your mind from somewhere. If this happens to me, then that will happen to me, my reputation will be lost. Then it's either him or me. I wanted this thing, but I didn't get it. Someone else took it. In such a situation, when a person finds themselves, tension arises in the mind. And what are the scriptures? If you study the scriptures, the tension that is in the mind, the scriptures remove that tension. So, the person who understands how many such actions there are, many people come to the point of committing suicide. But those who have studied the scriptures, stayed in the joy of the Guru, remained at the feet of the Guru. They are told, no, this is a worthless thing, we have received this invaluable thing, the 5 tattva at Hamari. God says that among the 84 lakh species, one gets the human body by a large margin. Great fortune, human. The body is obtained, which is rare even for the gods, as sung in the sacred texts. If something that is obtained with great fortune, which is rare even for the gods, comes to me effortlessly, and if we become like a donkey or a worm in a drain, what could we achieve? Today, we are able to speak in our own name. Today, we are able to attend satsang. Today, we are able to see good things. This life has been given to me so beautifully. And what is the point of losing it by committing suicide? You should not give up, but study the scriptures and move forward. And it's not about how that person moved forward. Do it from them. Don't think like that. People often think we don't have electricity. In our house, it's dark, but why is the neighbor's house lit up? So, what people do is try to cut the neighbor's wire. But if you spend that time connecting your own wire, brother, you're taking the same risk, whether you're cutting the wire or connecting it. So, brother, why are you going to cut the neighbor's wire instead of connecting your own? Once you connect your own wire, it's certain that your house will have light too. Your house will definitely be illuminated. So, is it better to connect your own or to cut the neighbor's? Today, we get troubled by these things and end up failing. And after failing, the result is that we fall into depression, get stressed, and end up in a state of contemplating suicide. That's why one should always keep spirituality, study the scriptures, and read them. There are many things. You must have seen that. People who are connected to spirituality, 99% of them, are usually content. I cannot say in even 1% that the person who has absolutely no knowledge, who just keeps it as it is, and on the surface only thinks about spirituality, nothing is getting inside him. Only he can suffer such an incident. But a person connected to spirituality remains very content. Whether they have nothing or a lot, they are still content. Because that wealth is all temporary. They consider it as God's property, thinking that if I have a car, a house, wealth, or anything else, none of it is mine, it's God's. So if it goes away, it's God's loss. And if more comes, it's God's gain. So when we adopt the mindset that everything belongs to God, we become free from tension. But when we think that I earned it, I did this, I did that, and if it goes away, or if people take it, what will happen to me? I will become destitute. In such a situation, when a person associates prestige with themselves, there are two things that lead to suicide. One is prestige, and the other is not being able to achieve what one desires. If I love someone, and I don't receive that love, and they are going with someone else right in front of me. In such a situation, a person is unable to think that this is life, many people will come and go, and it's not necessary that life is dependent only on that. Hey, it might not be in your destiny if the Creator hasn't written it for you. Then, you should keep this in mind. It's a matter of your destiny, you wanted something different. Keep forgiving. Maybe something better will come in its place. That could also happen. So, we should never think this way. Look at those below you. We have been given two eyes. Such beautiful eyes. But some people don't have both eyes. They don't have both eyes. So they are below us, right? We have all our limbs intact. While some people have both legs broken, so they are not better than us. There are millions of people who don't have eyes, who don't have legs, who don't have a nose, who don't have work, who lack many body parts, yet they are still living. If that same person, or you have two eyes, would you give me one? It's such a priceless thing that you can't give it away. God has given you so much, and there are many people below you, in the millions, who have nothing. So look at them, brother, and think, I am better than them. I am doing well. So when we develop such an attitude, maintain such a mindset, then surely you will rise above and avoid tension, and you will be saved from suicide.
Now it comes to, when we say, we have the knowledge of the Gita teaches you everything. But it is very important to know the right way to learn it, because there are 11 stories where heroes attain martyrdom. And when Arjuna and Krishna arrive and see, Arjuna is clinging to Abhimanyu and crying, while Krishna is laughing. There, Yudhishthira asks, Krishna, you are laughing, and here my nephew has attained martyrdom. So he was saying, Arjuna, I took so long to recite the Gita to you just a few days ago, gave you the entire essence, and yet you are clinging and crying, not understanding it at all. If Arjuna didn't understand the Gita, and his nature is different, he will, indeed, be sad. Then he cannot understand what the essence of the Gita is. So, what is the right way to understand the Gita, so that a person can incorporate its thoughts and teachings into their life?
Look, the knowledge of the Gita was imparted to Arjuna, who was no ordinary person. And Lord Krishna himself narrated it directly. Just like today, if we narrate, you narrate, or some other sage narrates, we listen. But here, the creator of the Gita himself is narrating it. So, if at that time, the knowledge of the Gita wasn't penetrating Arjuna's mind, what does that imply? There is only one reason for this. Look, when we come to the mortal world, don't take it in a way that Arjuna didn't have the knowledge of the Gita. Arjuna had complete knowledge of the Gita. But when we come to the mortal world, we have to deal with the circumstances of the deceased. When Ram came, didn't Lord Ram pray during the exile for Sita? Lord Ram knew that it was all an illusion, and he had already placed Sita in the fire, saying, until the task is complete, stay in the fire. Lord Ram knew that Sita was in the fire, yet he cried out to the birds and animals, "Oh birds, oh deer, oh bees, have you seen Sita with eyes like a doe, with a sweet voice like a cuckoo?" He began to shout, upon seeing the animals, "Have you seen my Sita? Was my Sita like you? Did my Sita have eyes like yours? Hearing a voice like yours, my voice is like yours." So, God is doing things like this. Doesn't God have knowledge? Of course, he is the supreme being, he is the embodiment of God, so why is he crying? Even though it was said for their name. The one who has eternal bliss in their life, where there is no sorrow. That person is crying. So in such a situation, when God himself is crying, these are dead people. God performed this play, and even Arjuna knows that the one who has attained salvation and attains martyrdom is not an ordinary person. Arjuna knows this. The knowledge of the Kshatriya Geeta is that we are Kshatriyas, and for Kshatriyas, achieving a heroic end is indeed a matter of fortune. And Arjuna also knows that my son achieved a heroic end, and not in a cowardly way, like he ran away and was killed from behind. He died fighting, and not just one, but many capable warriors, where even the king himself and the guru were present. One after another, formidable warriors, and if hundreds of warriors are dying surrounding them, even then he fought the battle, which is a matter of honor. But he is Arjuna's son. That. Understand the point. If Arjuna does not lament there, does not cry, nature. What? People will say. Rather, they will say, a father should not be so heartless. So, even in the relationship between father and son, doubt can arise from somewhere. Does it mean the father wanted him to punish?
And perhaps this is the difference between a man and Narayana, because Narayana did not cry when Arjuna's son attained a heroic death. And he even laughed when Bhima's son attained a heroic death. That's right, he laughed there too, saying the weapons are finished. Finished.
Now because God is seeing what is to happen with whom, and God himself has cried. It's not that God hasn't cried, leaving aside Arjuna, Krishna Kanhaya has cried in many places. Lord Ram. So, we have told you, absolutely, in such a situation, because there the knowledge of the Gita is being revealed. But it is true that Arjuna also knows this fact. But Arjuna is not an ordinary person, he is also favored by God, and is with God. But if he hadn't cried, there, what would people have said? Wouldn't it have put a stain on the love between father and son? People could have also said, it seems Arjuna wanted to prove something. He didn't even cry, he was laughing, so there Arjuna cannot laugh. A father has his own role. But it's not that Arjuna was indifferent there. From inside, he was the same. Leave that aside. When Drupavi's 5 children were killed, Ashvathama came and cut them down and left, and Arjuna stood to stop him. There, Drupadi stopped him, saying, no, don't stop him. Because a mother whose 5 sons were killed, can any mother do that? Today, if a mother loses her father or son, she says that she won't rest until they are avenged. That's exactly what a mother would say. She appeals to the government to punish them, to do this or that. But in the same accusation, Drupavi's 55 sons are killed, and when Arjuna is ready to kill, the mother stops him, saying no. Why? Because she says the pain I am feeling should not be felt by their mother, by the teacher's mother. And we have 5 husbands, but their husband has also died, so who will she rely on? This is sanatan, ours. This is the sanatan culture, that we show compassion to others. We forget our own troubles for the sake of others. This is the glory of sanatan, and this is the specialty of sanatan. People forget their own troubles and become friends in the sorrows of others, understanding their own pain as insignificant. So, this is our culture. That's why our culture is called the culture of compassion. We work more for the benefit of others. So if Arjuna cried there, it wasn't because our son died, and he was overwhelmed by it. If that were the case, he could have done that too. Arjuna, what is the point of my living if my son has died? But no, even there, it was necessary for Arjuna to cry that much. And it was also necessary for God to say here that I taught the Gita, imparted the knowledge of the Gita. If there was no knowledge of the Gita, Arjuna would not have fought. Who kills their uncle? A brother does not perform such actions. Consider someone who is lying in the lap of terror, who has received the teachings of a guru, and is being struck repeatedly by the flood in front. It was done. What can anyone do if they are struck? He has definitely imparted the knowledge of Gita. And that knowledge of the Gita, it's not like that. Then it filled him with individuality. No, it was duty. It was duty that was performed there. God said that you are a warrior, and the work of a warrior is not for cowards. Don't look at who is standing in front of you. Focus on what your current duty is. And when a person performs their duty and adheres to their righteousness, they definitely achieve victory. Therefore, even from a spiritual perspective, if Arjuna wanted, he could have committed suicide. But he didn't. He didn't commit suicide there. But his crying. He cried because there is a relationship between father and son.
Don't bring up this topic here. It was also necessary because people nowadays tend to generalize. Things like men don't cry, or if someone cries, they're not a man. But psychologists say that crying helps to lighten the emotions inside. I mean, if you find someone who cries, even men, if Arjun can cry, then who are we? If Narayan can cry, then who are we? Absolutely, one should cry. It's not like, if you're upset, you should cry on someone's shoulder or cry alone. But crying helps to lighten your emotions. Secondly, the lineage you come from, they were also the gurus of Tulsidas ji. Absolutely. There was a time when Tulsidas ji was very depressed. His wife had left him and he was facing rejection from all sides. He emerged from those circumstances and wrote the Ramcharitmanas. It was then that he wrote the saga like the Hanuman Chalisa. So, shed some light on how sanatan helps when you are in depression and how it can assist you in overcoming it.
Look, the situation in which Goswami Tulsidas ji was born. The story of his birth. You know how he was born. Immediately after that, his parents passed away. He uttered the word Ram. Now, let me clarify one thing here, that the child who was born uttering Ram. Indeed, some things in our scriptures have been adulterated. Understand this, a child who is born saying Ram. Can it be possible for him to be in such a state due to separation from his wife? This cannot happen in the future. Some people have linked the story of Vid Mangal with Tulsidas ji, suggesting that he became so overwhelmed with longing for his wife that he crossed the Yamuna River using a corpse as a boat. All those things are stories, all right. They can be the emotions of devotees. And another thing, no person can know everything about every matter. For example, it's not necessary for everyone to be knowledgeable about all the scriptures. It's not necessary for every person to be an expert in every scripture. It's like an ocean. It can be vast. But I have my own mindset, my own thoughts, which are given by God. And it is said about Lord Ram that where there is no Ram and where there is no desire, Ram Tulsidas can never stay there even for a moment. Night and the sun cannot exist together. When day comes, night disappears, and when night comes, the day disappears. Both cannot coexist. No. So in such a situation, where there is Ram, desire cannot exist. Lust cannot come. Absolutely. And where there is lust, God will not come. Lord Ram will not come. Absolutely. So in such a situation, if Ram manifests in someone's speech, how can lust enter their life? This is something to think about. I accept it from one perspective. Subject. Once it has come, it's life. You never know when it will turn, what will happen when the mindset will change, because Goswami Tulsidas himself wrote, the wise devotee knows the threefold path, but is deluded by attachment and illusion, and human power makes one arrogant. And then even attachment is wrapped up in the soul's knowledge. Worship the Lord of illusion, Lord God. Knowing this, one should meditate on Lord Rama. He can be saved from illusion. There is no one else in the world who can be saved. Great sages and seers. Now, when even Brahma and Vishnu are encompassed, talking about others is pointless. But if Goswami Tulsidas, even if enchanted, goes, then what kind of knowledge was attained? What did he say? He said, why did you follow me here? If you had put as much effort into farming, your crops would have grown more. But he didn't say that. What he said was, if you had loved God as much as you love me, you would have attained salvation. Sometimes, it's not like the wife spoke with great wisdom, like we might sometimes speak out of frustration or anger. Why are you always after me or doing this? It could have been like that. And his wife might have said it in the same spirit when not driven by desire. because desire is not always present with everyone. It comes and goes. Goswamiji might have had desire at times, but not with him, and he might have said something like, "You are after me." So he turns to God. But can't this apply today? Today, every wife is scolding, asking why her husband isn't becoming like Tulsidas, especially if she is demanding such a Tulsidas. If Tulsidas became Tulsidas because of his wife's scolding in this way, I think, today there would be a Tulsidas in every home. Every wife is scolding daily, and no one feels, not even 1%, that they are being kicked around daily, scolded daily, hearing abuses daily. Yet it doesn't happen because that era was different. It's the age of Kali Yuga, and it's a matter of Kali Yuga. If not much time has passed, then why are people leaving their homes today? Why aren't they becoming like Tulsidas? But no, these or the virtues of Tulsidas from his previous birth. Tulsidas Maharaj was a devotee of God since childhood. A tradition continues from birth to birth. Tulsidas was a devotee in that lineage who gained wisdom in a minute. And he said it was a very good thing. If such a thing is said by a wife, and he accepted it too, in today's date, who would accept it? Absolutely no one would accept it today, but when Tulsidas came, it somehow demonstrated his excellence. The other spiritual knowledge is what he said. Go in the joy of Lord Ram, go in the joy of God, and sing the praises of God. Tulsidas came, and that was the turning point in his life, and he composed 12 texts. Such a great epic. If one reads the Ramcharitmanas even once, I feel that regarding your subject, such people will be saved. Absolutely, they will never be in a situation to commit suicide. Anyone who reads the Ramcharitmanas with heart even once, it contains stories of relationships. Absolutely. What has Lord Ram done in the Ramcharitmanas? What kind of relationship should one have with their father? What kind of relationship should one have with their brother? Think about the brothers in the Mahabharata fighting for land. Brothers fighting for power. A whole war happened, and they killed each other. And here brothers are giving up power, not fighting for it. The father said, "My brother is just like me. If he sits on the throne, I will be pleased." Lord Ram left. He said, "This is not my power. It is God's property. How can we sit on it? This is love. If you read the Ramayana and live by it, your issues will be resolved. People can't even think of suicide. But the problem is that instead of reading it, we are chasing materialism. And there is no peace in materialism. In materialism, there is only conflict, and life is left with just thought and worry that it should be done as it is. It should become like that, grow this much, go that far. These are the things. But read the Ramcharitmanas once and see what those who have prospered have truly achieved. And those who are at the bottom, how peaceful they are. That's why peace in life doesn't come from money. There's absolutely no peace in building. Peace is only at the feet of God. Peace is at the feet of God and in calming your mind. The more you expand your mind, no matter how big you become, whether it's Dhirubhai, Ambani, or Tata Birla, who is truly happy, they can't even eat 2 meals in peace. We can eat 45 rotis and digest them well. And for them, the doctor is advising to eat 2 pieces of dry fruit and drink mung dal water. Even after earning billions, what did you eat? You can't even enjoy a simple meal, so your life is wasted. But the one who has nothing sleeps peacefully like a farmer. He eats well and then sleeps under a tree. He sleeps peacefully for 8 hours. It doesn't matter, because peace comes from self-reflection. Study the scriptures. That's why it's said to seek refuge in spirituality. You must have seen that earlier parents often took their children to saints for wisdom. Grandparents were at home telling stories, and so did maternal grandparents. Today, the situation is such that a girl first says she wants to marry into a house where no one else lives. Absolutely. When you are alone at home, then you don't have time for the kids. Both of you are doing your duty and working. There's no time for the children, so you've handed them over to a nanny. What about the nanny? Will she teach them anything? Will the maid impart knowledge to your children? And back when grandparents were around, they would tell stories of Lord Ram, Lord Krishna, tales of kings and queens, and while sitting with the children, they would instill values from a young age. Absolutely. And spirituality was filled in their lives from childhood. Greet the saints. Say hello to the saints. Today, if you tell a child to greet a saint, they will question it because they lack values. When there are no values from childhood, they don't even greet their parents, let alone a saint. In such a situation, where will the knowledge that brings peace come from? Now, the knowledge that exists is where peace lies. In such a situation, the reason why so many people in society today are committing suicide is simply because they have distanced themselves from spirituality. We have stopped contemplating our scriptures. We have stopped listening to the words of the saints, and we have stopped following the teachings of the saints. The reason is that today we are troubled and let small things echo in our minds. And after that, we become depressed and commit suicide.
Perhaps humans no longer have fear. Earlier, a person would be afraid before committing any sin, thinking they might have to face consequences, as you mentioned earlier. You brought up a point about relationships today. The one you loved has left you, and now they make plans like this, completely robbing the person. If it's a guy, the other person knows they wanted to rob them, yet they still plan and plot with them. Then, when they leave someone in depression, the one who was genuine will definitely fall into depression. So, such people have no fear that they are doing wrong to someone. There was a friend of ours. He had a breakup, and during Diwali, he sent some gifts, still trying to win back his girlfriend. So he sent 2 gifts like food items and sweets for Diwali, and the girl kept them, as he was telling me. So he set idols of Lord Ganesha and Goddess Lakshmi, and she returned them. Imagine, on the day of Diwali, on Dhanteras, you return Lord Ganesha. It's such a shocking thing. You sent them back from the door, saying you don't want them, but didn't return the food items. So, this greed that is filled in your mind, people aren't even afraid of committing sins. Today, for instance, we often listen to Premanand Maharaj Ji. He says that today's generation is like disposable plates. They bend in front of anyone. Such people, whether men or women, are referred to as courtesans. I mean, the sinfulness in people has ended. As you are saying, there are no values left in homes. That's why even a 10 or 12-year-old child goes on the internet and watches inappropriate things, searches for them, which you can't even imagine. So, this is what values are. So, the fear of sin has disappeared. So, where will this take the world?
This is exactly what I want to say, that today, if you look at the new generations, even a small child, how their guardians are shaping them.
They search for what they see, that's what they will search for.
Along with searching, people also want to interact less with children. This is also a big trend these days. A child turns 5, and you start making them earn, using such words they are with us. So this greed is also, in some way, completely destroying the new generation. And this is the situation. What is the situation of girls today? What is the situation of boys? It's not hidden from anyone. It's not dependent on one. Earlier, when there were no mobile phones, letters used to be sent. It would take months for a letter to reach, and the reply would come in months. Years would pass like this. People couldn't communicate. It was completely different from fear. Today, as you said, there is no fear. No fear of spirituality. No fear of downfall. No fear of sin. All these things have disappeared. Look, when demons and gods used to fight, I'm talking about the time before the divine battle, when the gods had not yet drunk the nectar, they had the fear of dying, while the demons had no fear at all, and if they died, they would win. Once, anger reached a peak, and it was said to the demons that you engage in such fierce battles. The anger was such that it had a strong influence on both sides. So he went and said, look, accept it, think it over, you all are brothers. if all the gods kill you, what kind of life is that? You will die. All this empire will be left behind. It won't be good. The argument was that if they die, fighting, what will happen? All my children and everything will be gone. Now, fear entered their minds. Fear crept in. So after this, when the battle happened, they lost. This time, by saving themselves. And earlier, they weren't even afraid of dying. Indeed, fear is a very big thing. Whether it's the fear of spirituality. Absolutely. Earlier, it was like this. Those who feared the saint were considered divine, and those who didn't were considered demons. People used to fear saints, thinking they might curse them, and their lives would be ruined. Today, even that fear has ended, as if after your body is gone, no one will need your body, and one day your money will also be gone. Oh, we will only be kicked. We should observe this. During the coronavirus pandemic, there were billions of rupees, but they couldn't save lives, and were left behind. Lives were lost. Absolutely, spirituality survived. During the pandemic, how many saints died? Very few, maybe 1%, who were truly spiritual. Very few saints died, those who were unfortunate, whose bodies were affected, or those whose bodies didn't have much capacity left and got caught up in it. Because a saint does, like at that time, around 3,000 to 4,000 food packets were being prepared daily. So during that time, they got caught. But mostly, who died? Mostly, those people died who had nothing to do with spirituality, who had completely neglected their bodies. The rest, those who were right, remained with spirituality. Today, the same situation has occurred in the lives of children. They have become completely distant from spirituality, and this is also distressing for the parents. Today, the boy is living in America. You have educated him, well spent your life for him, and he is working as an engineer. When talking about foreign lands, it turns out that people are not even getting a shoulder to lean on.
This is quite prevalent in Punjab. As well, there is one person whose name I will mention when I remember. So, what those people do is, they told this story about two brothers who both lived abroad in America, and their mother was alone here. It had been 4 days since anyone had seen her, and a smell started coming from the house. So the neighbors called someone, and when they went inside, they found that she had passed away. They called the sons, and they said they couldn't come. A parent who worked hard to fulfill your dreams and sent you abroad, that's fine, but it's their right for you to be there for them. Absolutely, brother. The greed for money is what I'm talking about. Today, parents are not getting the support they deserve, and they are being neglected. Parents who sacrifice their lives and dedicate themselves to their children are being let down.
By saving 11 rupees, 22 rupees, they think if my son goes abroad, he will become successful. If he earns a little money, he won't be troubled. That's the mindset. But those same children are either going abroad, and even if they are here, the situation is such that if something happens, they are influenced by their wife's words. In such situations, today, if these incidents are happening, the only reason is that we have moved away from spirituality. We have stopped reading the scriptures. Look at the Muslims. Today, their children, every child remembers the Quran. Absolutely. When they pray, they recite verses from the Quran. Here, if you say to study Sanskrit, they say they don't know Sanskrit. Some people, even among us, have shown that if you read it incorrectly, it will lead to disaster. Oh, brother, what disaster will start? Really? So we are praising God. After all, God only listens to the name. Absolutely. If you correct it once, correct it again the second time, third time, fourth time, it will happen eventually. But no, they instilled fear from the beginning. Oh, we are dear to support someone, like to support someone. When a mantra is recited, special attention should be paid to its purity. We are engaging in devotion, singing praises of God, so purity naturally occurs in the process.
The nectar-like words, whatever falls, will remain nectar, and it doesn't make a difference.
But such fear was instilled that we even distance ourselves from Sanskrit. Ask any Hindu boy today if he remembers the entire Chalisa, and he probably won't. Absolutely, and every one of their children knows the Quran by heart. Absolutely, they have their children perform namaz, do everything, instill values. They teach the Quran. They provide education in madrasas. And that instills a sense of strictness in the children. Why? We are just on the sidelines. I am a guru to people. If you ever search for Muslim women performing Guru Arti, you'll find it. Linked to me. So, people, do come here. So I know what happens there. I have delved deep inside and seen. And, as far as castes are concerned, people have overwhelmed us with them. They have 132 going there. As soon as ours go there, they unite in the name of religion. We start preaching in the name of religion. No, there should be a temple here. There should be a hospital. Both a school and a hospital should be there. Yes. So, this kind of movement, oh brother, where a hospital is built, right?
They are running a temple. People in India might not even know.
People used to say at one time, what will a temple give? Temple is like
Governments have been supportive. In fact, see gurdwaras and temples, like here in Delhi. There is one near your ashram. What is the name? There is a gurdwara. There is a temple in Tilak Nagar. They provide dialysis at a very low cost, something like dialysis, which is so expensive in private hospitals. If you go there, it's free in some places, or it's done for 500 or 600 rupees in many places. What happens is that the monasteries we have, which have properties, people don't understand every monastery.
For example, 90% of them don't have money even today. They are running the ashram by begging. And 10% have proper funding. So, it seems like they have a lot of money. The 10% is visible, but how the remaining 90% are eating and drinking, no one sees. They have 50 children there. Students are studying, learning Sanskrit, how they also beg, how they conduct stories and earn, how they manage. No one sees this. That 10% is visible. Now think about it, 10%, 5% of that is in the hands of the government. Even among the 10%, the well-known temples with good income are in the hands of the government. So tell me, how will the monks of the monastery run things? Where will they run hospitals from? Where will they run schools from? The monasteries that have money, the government takes it, and those who don't even have money to eat or offer food are told to build hospitals. Meanwhile, there is no tax on madrasas, no tax at all. In our monasteries, the electricity bill can go up to 20,000. House tax will be separate, and other charges will come separately. Meanwhile, madrasas manage with 70 rupees. Think about it. Mosques get electricity for 70 rupees, and after that, they only teach the Quran there. They can't teach anything else. You can't find a single mosque, a single gurudwara, or any such place that is under government control. But we can point out thousands of temples that the government has taken over. In such a situation, we always want to connect with sanatan and help people. Sanatan is the only one, and the monasteries. And saints are such that they always want to do charitable work, regardless of which sect the saint belongs to. It is such that if a saint from any sect wants to do charity, they need money to do so. But wherever the money is coming from, the government is taking it away. Where will Nira do charity? Brahm, we often think about doing this or that, wondering where the money should come from, asking anyone, and worrying about banks being robbed. In such situations, people can't think about what they should do. And those saints who have money are actually doing a lot of work these days. They have opened schools and hospitals. We can list many such examples. If you look around for 24 hours here, or if you go to the Kumbh, everyone is eating, the public is eating, the saints are feeding. Who is feeding? The government isn't coming there to feed. Camps of saints are set up everywhere. Some are feeding 1,000 people. Some are feeding 10,000. In this way, we have Swami Abram Das Ji Maharaj, a very renowned saint. If you look at him, he has opened many hospitals. He has ashrams in every region, and hospitals are opened everywhere, providing free services. Just as you mentioned about the 500 rupees, similarly, free services are being provided, completely free of charge. It's happening everywhere. We have Siddhamakudi here. You can go there in Vrindavan. Every day, 2,000, 3,000 people are being fed. Where is this food coming from, brother? Even today, Feeding 10 people in a household of 2 can be difficult, and yet they are feeding 3,000 and 4,000 people daily. It's your money that we are using to feed them. Whatever comes to us, we are not using it for ourselves. We don't even buy clothes for ourselves. We wear what you give us. In such a situation, we sanatanis, the saints and sages, engage in philanthropy. Your money is spent on you. It's just that we collect it and use it in for such places. Spirituality is discussed because it seems relevant to the place. And even today, I can confidently say that whoever stays connected will never stray. They can never become disheartened. Their values cannot be wrong. No matter how low they fall, they will always have fear. I am connected to spirituality. I am connected to such and such Guruji. It is my guru's. It is my guru's honor. I am wearing the attire. No matter how low he falls, he will still be saved and will protect Sanatan.
If he is connected to spirituality, he will fear everything. Otherwise, they don't even fear for their parents' honor at all. They are behaving as if they are the only ones in this world, as if no one else exists besides them. Nowadays, the Kumbh is going on.
So, first of all, we would like to know what the significance of the Kumbh is and its importance. You see, in our tradition, before the battle between the gods and demons, there was the churning of the ocean. The gods and demons churned the ocean, and from it 14 gems emerged. The first of these was given to Lord Shiva to drink as the universe began to burn, and only Lord Shiva could handle it. There are such deities who are involved in saving the universe, and I would like to know about many other topics. Among them, nectar emerged. The demons ran away with the nectar, and Mohini, in disguise, called the gods. At that time, when they ran away with the nectar, wherever they went, it spilled. The nectar spilled in places like Prayagraj, Karivar, Nashik, and Ujjain. These 4 places are believed to be where the nectar was taken during the Kumbh, and that's where the Kumbh Mela began to be held. All right, the glory of Sanatan culture in Prayagraj has been there since before. The glory of Prayagraj is not just because of the Kumbh. When the sun enters Capricorn, it is celebrated here, and every year the Kumbh Mela is held there. During this time, Nanda Makar, all the deities, and all the people come there and consider the Kumbh as a month-long center of devotion and practice. They come there to engage in spiritual practices and satsang because it is the confluence of the Triveni. All 3 rivers come together. There, the Ganga, Yamuna, and the mythical Saraswati. In this way, there is a great presence of Madhavji, and one can also have the darshan of the Lord. It is such a sacred confluence area, and there is ample space there. Even today, when planning any event, considerations are made about how many people will attend, how large the field is, what the arrangements for coming and going are, and what the parking arrangements are. So, even at that time, the gods and sages thought that this is a very large confluence, where people from all over the world would come, and it could be managed comfortably. People say that today, the population might be very large. I'm talking about the Dwapar Yuga. Lord Krishna had 560 million descendants, including his grandsons, sons, and daughters, totaling 560 million. Just imagine what the total population of the Lord's entire lineage would have been. Today, you have a population of 1.25 billion. Back then, 560 million were just Lord Krishna's descendants alone. So think from this perspective about when the population was. Just imagine, if he had an army, how large would that army have been? In the Ramcharitammanas, it is written that there were 18 Padma monkeys. Think about the number of Padma. How much would that be? Thousands, 10,000, 100,000, a million, 100 million, a billion, 10 billion. 10 Padma, 10 Padma. That was just the monkey army when the Lord attacked. With 18 Padma groups, not just Padma, but with such a large army of groups, the Lord attacked Lanka. So, think about what the population situation would have been. Absolutely, absolutely. That's not the topic. But today we are unable to control what we have. So in that way, if there was a good place in the confluence area, it would take the form of a kumbh. So every year, there is a fair on the path, and every year it brings a lot of joy. That's why there is a spiritual stream. Breathe streams, indeed, a spiritual stream. That's why the community of saints is called Prayagraj. The wave of the community of saints. The community of saints is like Prayag. For instance, one Prayagraj is stationary, it cannot move, but the community of saints, Prayagraj, is a moving Prayagraj. Everything is easily available every day, all the patriots. Respectfully, everyone's problems are easily available. You will find the saints in every country. They are indeed easily accessible to everyone. And what is it about the company of saints? There, that is devotion itself. The essence of knowledge, the teachings of Vedanta, that is what the Kumbh is. That is why one goes to Prayag, and that is what happens there. The great souls engage in the realization of the divine form of the Supreme Being. I definitely want to say today that a time of showiness has come, but situations change, times change, people change, and so do systems. Indeed, when people go there, today, they want such rooms, so the facilities have increased. Earlier, people used to spend a month there, even in a hut with just a cloth hanging, and after spending a month, the light of devotion was evident. Today, devotion has decreased, and showiness has increased. Our tent should be big. Our gate should be big. Our arrangements should be good. And that is one reason, the characteristics of devotees. Devotees say, Maharaj, I will come, my family will come, my daughter will come, my son will come. Please arrange 4 rooms for us. Of course, now the devotee is giving money. What does it cost Maharaj to build it? You are giving money, so I will have it built. From that perspective, Maharaj, please install a small geyser. People have turned it more into a picnic spot, so the governments are also working on it, providing facilities, and people also want facilities. Exactly. So, now, what happens is that devotion is there, but they don't get as deeply involved with the feeling of devotion. Exactly. Earlier, we used to undertake the pilgrimage to Kedarnath. It would take a long time, and we didn't know if we would be able to come again or not. So, people from the entire village would gather, wear garlands, take blessings from everyone, and bid farewell, uncertain if they would return again. Today, there are facilities, there are means people go and make it a picnic. Even Lord Shiva once got upset, saying, Son, I see you come here to make a picnic. If I set things right, you are spiritual. If you make it a picnic, eventually, the outcome will be negative. Exactly. In the same way, it is clearly visible in the Kumbh today. We would also say that the spirit of our country, India, is visible in the Kumbh, where the procession of Nagas, the royal bath of saints in the Kumbh, sitting on chariots, sitting on thrones, are referred to as kings. Absolutely. That too is a form that is visible. And the spiritual culture of India, the identity of India, is also visible there. Great ascetics and saints are sitting there unclothed, eating food, which is also visible. On the other hand, emperors are sitting there as heads of monasteries, world teachers are present, and leaders of various sects like Ramanuj, the Four Rams, Nimbarka, etc., are seated there. They have their own uniqueness, with discourses happening, stories being told in every tent. Some places have Ras Lila, some have storytelling, and some have curtain. People are performing Havan, which is also amazing in itself, and it brings peace to the eyes after seeing it. This is also my country, and such things happen in my country. Things that are not seen in other countries are visible in our India. I feel that keeping this alive is the responsibility of the governments and all of us, because this is our culture, this is our identity as a country. So, all these things make the Kumbh a very significant event. The Mahakumbh happens every 12 years, and the Ard Kumbh every 6 years, so it has its own importance. People take baths, and the bath itself has significance. People go and bathe in the cold, where even in the cold water of the Ganges, there is no distinction. You see, people say that the caste system has infiltrated the monasteries and temples, that the Brahmins, the caste ascetics, prevent people from bathing in the Ganges. But does anyone stop you? Does anyone ask? Does anyone interrupt? Everyone is bathing at the same ghat. This is the culture of India. That's why the caste system hasn't come from the monasteries and temple. Caste has come from your government documents. Today, we, the spiritual leaders, do not issue caste certificates. It's the governments that are issuing caste certificates. Why don't you stop it? Why do you issue caste certificates? Brother? So, you are the ones issuing caste certificates. After this, people accuse that it's the spiritual leaders who are spreading caste, that the Brahmins are doing this kind of thing. The monasteries and temples did not initially promote this, but now they have. And even today, cleanliness is a must. If you come after eating fish, you won't be allowed entry, no matter who you are. If you keep impure wealth, you won't be allowed entry. Now the situation is such that even a slight deviation in diet there, brother, is affected. So how can we allow you entry? You might say that we are not allowing you entry for some reason, but the reason you are not allowed is because you are coming after eating. You are coming with impurity. You are coming to disrupt the sanctity of the temple. That's why your entry is restricted, not because of your caste. Even if a Brahmin does such a thing today, they will not be allowed entry. That's not the case. So, these are all the things. Here we have the Dham Raja. Booing Kashi doesn't know the Dham Raja. When everyone goes to them, if a fire is lit, we take it further. Absolutely. If there was such a thing in our lives, if there was discrimination in the lives of saints, then why did Jagat or Ramnanda forgive this principle? The reason for everything is the self. No one asks about caste or creed. This is absolutely the principle of our Acharya Jagat Ramandakarya, not anyone else's. And not only did he give the principle, he made Kabir his disciple. Who was Kabir? He was a weaver, a Muslim. He made Narhari Daji his disciple, made Pipaji his disciple, who was a Kshatriya, and made Danaji his disciple. After this, you will have 12 disciples from each caste. They were from different castes. Absolutely, if there was caste discrimination, he wouldn't have made people from all castes his disciples. There is no caste discrimination here. Lord Ram went to everyone, but he didn't sit with anyone. If God had promoted it, why would he go to the boatman? It is said that his shadow and presence purified. Whose shadow fell on them, people would draw water, and they became purified. God went and washed his feet there, and made him a dear friend. Absolutely. God is good, but consider this as a human being. But God did not discriminate against animals and birds. He performed the last rites, just like he did for his father. He did not perform the last rites for the 10 generations. Lord Ram performed the last rites for Jatayu, who is considered the lowest among birds. Through him, the medium was Kagbasundi. Garuda was made to listen to the Ramayana. So how can someone who did not discriminate against birds discriminate against humans? Consider this. In such a situation, all these social evils have been brought in. All the untouchability. It's all a political scheme, a ploy. All of this. These castes are emerging through politics. Divide and rule among yourselves. That's exactly what the British did. By dividing and ruling, 200 British came. Think about it. 200 British came and enslaved such a large country. And then they left. It was because of people like Jetchen that they were able to divide and leave. The leaders today are adopting the same approach. So I think that we Sanatanis, we Hindus, and we Indians need to understand this. We need to realize that these people are fighting among themselves, throwing their bread at us and making us fight and harbor enmity among ourselves. We must be absolutely cautious of this as well.
And, finally, let's return to our topic. We would like to know some of your thoughts. And if you would like to give some advice to people. For those who live with depression and anxiety, And those who contemplate or commit suicide, what is your final piece of advice for them?
From my perspective, the first thing is to study the scriptures. Suppose you don't have time, you don't have the opportunity, because it has become a major problem in today's times. People find time for mobile phones, but if asked to do some work, they don't have time. So, I think one should listen to the discourses of some well-known saints, those who have good intentions, and pay attention to their words. And one should also think about this within oneself, that this human body we have received, don't listen to anyone's discourse. But understand this much, that this human body I have received, it has come with great fortune. God has given it with great compassion. It is a very precious thing. If you focus on one organ, go to the doctor and ask how much my eye is worth, how much each part is worth, how much mine is worth. Ask the doctor all these things once, and you will understand the importance. What is the significance of your body, and how valuable it is? Now, will you waste such a precious thing? Will you destroy it like this? So, when you understand these things, what we consider very valuable, compared to that, the body is many, millions of times more valuable than I think. The thought will immediately come to your mind. We should not waste this body like this. This human body has been given to us by God with great fortune. There are two things in life. See, when night falls, people say they can't sleep. Absolutely, after night falls, they can't sleep, and I am stressed. The second is in the morning. They don't feel like doing anything. For these two things, Goswami Tulsidas has given 2 tablets. Take those 2 tablets, one in the morning with water, and with tea or milk. Night has fallen. You can't do anything. At that time, you need to take 1 tablet. Whatever arguments you make, only what God has determined will happen. Nothing is going to happen by your doing. And when you think like this, you'll fall asleep. I don't have to do anything. I am nothing. Listen, God does everything. So why should I keep such things in my mind? If you keep this in mind and go to sleep, you'll fall asleep. But you shouldn't take this in the morning. There's something else for the morning. In the morning, Swamiji says, karma is supreme. The world is created accordingly. As one acts, so one reaps the fruits. As soon as morning comes, get to your routine. What is your duty? In the field you are working in. Like if you are running an institute, then what is my goal? How many saints do I need to get insights from? Whose interview should I take? And how much should I promote it? This is your duty. Similarly, a saint has their duty. In the morning, how much devotion we need to do, how much chanting, how much ritual, that is the duty. And to whom we should narrate the stories. In the same way, every person should engage in their duty. This is the morning tablet. Karma is supreme, and duty is indeed karma. The world is created with karma as supreme. God has created it this way. And as you act, so shall you receive the results. If you don't act, you will receive nothing. You will just keep thinking like this. Nothing is going to come to you. So these 2 tablets have been given to your life by Goswami Tulsidas. If you keep these 2 tablets in mind and live your life considering it, very, very precious, understanding that this body of mine is not ordinary, it is a very valuable body, much more valuable than all our property, many, millions of times more valuable. So we can leave behind property, we can leave behind a girlfriend, we can leave behind parents, we can leave behind family. So, sir, why are you not paying so much attention to this body? This body is more important than that. Therefore, pay special attention to the body. Only if we keep it alive will we be able to do something. If we are not alive, what will we be able to do? Just imagine what we want to achieve. The body will remain. Only then will we be able to achieve it. Or if someone has insulted us, and we want to insult them back, only if the body remains will we be able to insult them. Just like taking revenge. People say they will take revenge. But when will you take it? Only when you are alive. So it's not necessary to die for that. Staying alive is important. If you want to bring about a change or show someone down, you need to stay alive. If you want to achieve something, you need to stay alive. In every situation, you need to stay alive. Only then will you be able to do something. So if you think you'll die and become a ghost or turn into air, it doesn't matter. Therefore, you should understand these aspects and consider the body as the most precious thing and protect it.
With these words, I would also like to thank you because you have given our community very good education, and I hope that they will incorporate these things into their lives and be able to overcome their situations. I would also like to say, as Jagat Guruji mentioned, that this body is very precious and revenge can be taken in different ways. It's not necessary you have to harm someone. Many times, people say that forgiveness is a very big thing, and many people are unable to do it. They have experienced such bad things because when the other person was doing wrong, they didn't think about it, even though they knew they were doing wrong. Even after that, they don't reconsider. Instead, they plan and plot to cause even more harm, leaving the person in a place where they end up in complete depression. So, whether to forgive or not is in your hands, but don't take any wrong steps. There's no need to do anything wrong to the other person. It's said that every morning, when you ask God for something, just get it from your heart. If the other person has done wrong, let them face the consequences. Because, as I always say, God's stick makes no sound. But when that stick strikes, the sound comes from places where people can't even imagine. With these words, take care of yourself. Take care of your body. Thank you.